Tonight on the Nightly Review, people across Minnesota are cleaning up after strong storms ripped through the state on Memorial Day. The Oak Grove school system finds its next president. They didn't have to look far. And a new study shows that Fargo and Bismarck are two of the fastest growing cities in the country. Hello and welcome to the Nightly Review. I'm Steve Hallstrom filling in for Tom Tucker. Hope your post-holiday week is off to a great start. We begin with a look at tonight's headlines and then a closer look with comments from West Fargo Mayor Bernie Dardis on where the city might grow in the future. And finally, we'll visit with Cass County Sheriff Jesse Jahner to find out how rural schools are preparing for the potential of an active shooter. Leading our headlines tonight, much of Minnesota is cleaning up from a strong line of storms that hit on Memorial Day. As many as 5 tornadoes were reported statewide, including one near Alexandria. Many communities reported more than an inch of rainfall. Nearly 40,000 homes were without power for a time, and a semi was blown off I-94 near the Dalton exit. It's not believed at this time that the storms caused any fatalities. Fargo's Oak Grove school system has found its next president. Interim President Bob Otterson has been promoted and will be the 12th president in school history. The appointment takes effect tomorrow. He's been serving as interim president since January. Otterson has 25 years of leadership experience in education and has also served as president and CEO of Lutheran Social Services of North Dakota. Fargo and Bismarck are two of the fastest growing cities in the country, according to new data released by the Census Bureau. In 2021, Fargo grew by 0.7% and Bismarck 0.6%. Grand Forks declined in population by 0.3%. All 9 of the fastest gaining cities were in Texas, Arizona, and Florida. The top 3 decliners were New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. The crime trends are not good in the Twin Cities. This according to a new study of the 50 largest suburbs by the Star Tribune. 51 homicides were recorded in 2021. That's more than double the 22 back in 2019, with most of the increase occurring in the North Metro suburbs. Even so, it's nowhere near the problem that Minneapolis and St. Paul have, where 135 homicides were reported last year. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is not backing away from her views on guns and did not back away from the invitation to speak at last weekend's NRA convention in Houston. Her speech came just 3 days after a shooting at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas that left 19 students and 2 teachers dead. Noem told the audience she grew up in a gun-owning household, the Second Amendment is sacred, and some media paint law-abiding gun owners as monsters. Reuters reports that North Dakota farmers are expected to plant wheat over the smallest cropland on record. Government data indicates that the U.S. is the world's 4th largest wheat exporter, but heavy rain has flooded many fields, causing producers to miss out on the planting window. The global wheat market is already reeling from a loss of acres coming out of Ukraine. North Dakota Senator John Hoeven says changes are coming to Fargo's National Cemetery. The comments were made on a Memorial Day visit. Hoeven says the National Cemetery Administration has identified 30 acres for expansion and has initiated the National Environmental Policy Act review process to acquire it. He also noted that upgrades including wind walls, storage space, and restrooms should be completed by the end of the summer. WDAY Radio is reporting that the superintendent of the Fosston Public School District is taking disciplinary action against a group of students. This after a video surfaced on social media of students mimicking indigenous culture during a school-sponsored event. Sue Richards Chase posted a letter to parents over the weekend on the district's Facebook page saying the video posted by the students was inappropriate and that, quote, hate has no home in the school district. This comes just weeks after another letter was sent to parents after a photo was shared on social media reenacting the death of George Floyd. Grand Forks police are trying to figure out why a 27-year-old man mysteriously died outside an apartment building on Sunday morning. They say Daniel Sanger was found with no apparent trauma or injury. The apartment building is in the 1100 block of 25th Avenue South. Police do not believe there is an ongoing threat to the public. The Minnesota Department of Health says COVID cases in the state are declining after a peak on May 11th. 419 Minnesotans were hospitalized at the end of last week, but the number was as high as 441 3 weeks ago. Bonus good news, only 8% of patients needed intensive care, down from 30% at times last year. And comedian Rob Schneider will be doing a show at the Fargo Theater in October. Schneider is bringing his I Have Issues tour to town on Thursday, October 6th. The promoter, Jade Presents, says it's a mature audience show, and ticket prices range from $35 to $75. They go on sale Friday at 11 a.m. at jadepresents.com. Schneider made his name on Saturday Night Live before moving into the film industry. In a closer look tonight, West Fargo Mayor Bernie Dardis is running for re-election, and he is running unopposed. He was a guest this morning on WDAY Radio's Bonnie and Friends. The city continues to grow, and he says it's becoming pretty tough to grow to the west or the south.
Well, we're at just about at our limit right now. We're in the Wild's 21st edition off of 52nd, and that is being developed right up to the Horace line. And the west border, of course, is the diversion channel, the Horace diversion channel, as it runs up by our city.
Dardis says the city's growth has actually slowed recently with COVID and a workforce shortage.
That if we would have stayed on the same projectile that we were 2 years ago, we probably had 3 to 4 years before we would be built out within the city limits of West Fargo. That slowed a little bit because of workforce, because of COVID, because of supply chain. But we're still, averaging about right at 300 houses, residential houses being built a year.
Dardis says the city is seeing good progress in construction with more than 300 houses being built last year. And 2021 was the biggest year in the history of West Fargo's commercial expansion as well. More than $70 million of new development. Dardis is not alone running without an opponent. Brad Olson and Robin Anderson are running unopposed for city commission. There are 7 candidates vying for 4 spots on the West Fargo School Board. Well, if you like staying informed each night on local news and issues, good news. You can subscribe so you never miss a show. And hit the bell button below to make sure that you don't miss the next episode. Put the kids to bed, put the day to bed, then catch up on what you've missed right here on the Nightly Review. Well, it felt like a Monday in more than one way coming back from the holiday weekend. Cool, cloudy, and windy. When will the sun come back? Meteorologist Justin Storm is in the Skywatch Weather Center with a look at the forecast.
Thanks, Steve. As we head through this evening into tonight, windy conditions will begin to lighten up around 10 to 25 miles per hour. Temperatures will dip into the lower 40s with gradually clearing conditions. That's going to reveal a mostly sunny day on Wednesday, a few passing clouds in the afternoon with a high near 68 degrees and a west-northwest wind around 10 to 20 miles per hour. Temperatures slide close to 50 for your Wednesday night and will rebound back into the upper 60s on Thursday. Partly cloudy, it will be windy with a slight chance for an isolated shower over into Lakes Country.
It could happen to you or someone you love. One moment, one diagnosis can change everything. Thankfully, there's a program that helps caring people uplift families through a crisis. Lend a Hand Up, raising financial help and hope through community benefits and online campaigns. A program that boosts generosity so gifts go further. Lend a Hand Up helps you help your neighbors. Learn more and give at lendahandup.org.
In tonight's one-on-one conversation, we talk about what law enforcement and school officials are doing to protect students from the possibility of an active shooter in our rural schools. Cass County Sheriff Jesse Jahner is leading that effort, and earlier today I asked him if the events of last week in Uvalde, Texas are putting more urgency on training and preparation here.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, we've had a number of people reach out to us, and of course we openly just reminded people that we do have the training available, but we've definitely had more people reach out to us, which is really a good thing. I mean, in a lot of these situations, if you don't have the training to respond appropriately, most of the time people are going to freeze, and in these types of situations, people can't freeze. They got to be able to respond, and so we're happy to offer the training and get people both mentally prepared and hopefully provide a skill set that people can use based on the environment that they work in on a day-to-day basis, or in the case of schools where the person's going to school every day. And so if we can, develop that mindset, give them the skill set, to respond, we really think that it will be beneficial and potentially save lives.
Jesse, one of the things that some are calling for is to have an armed guard in the schools full time. How many schools are in rural Cass County, and do they all have deputies in the school full time?
Sure. Well, we're very fortunate in Cass County. A lot of the smaller counties don't have a school resource deputy program, is what we call it. But we're very fortunate here in Cass County, and it's a partnership with Cass County government and the schools, so it's a cost share. But we do have 4 full-time school resource deputies. So we have one out at Northern Cass School, one in Central Cass School, and then we have a school resource deputy out at Maple Valley. That's not a full-time one, that's a half-time one. And then we've got another school resource deputy that splits their time between Kindred and Mapleton. So, and that's been a really beneficial program for us, number one, for school safety, but then also for building relationships with the students. And that can also trickle into school safety, because if we have knowledge, or other kids have knowledge that someone might be trying to, commit a violent act at school, it gives those kids an opportunity, once they get to know that school resource deputy a little bit, to share that information, to feel comfortable coming forward and telling them that. So that definitely has a school safety piece to it as well.
Many people have criticized law enforcement in Uvalde for not going into the room where the shooter was located. Reports are that he may have been in that school for more than an hour before law enforcement got involved. What is the process here for your deputies?
So, much like you said, I haven't had an opportunity to look at the investigation, the debrief of the situation, or anything like that. And so, I don't want to form any opinions or anything, or talk badly about their response, but we do know in these types of situations that time is of the essence. That the quicker that we can get in there and confront that active assailant, that active shooter, we're definitely going to be able to save lives and protect people from being injured. So time is really crucial. In this particular area, in Cass and Clay County, we all train together, all of our agencies, and so we use a lot of the same tactics. That's going to save some time when officers get on scene. They're going to be able to work together without having to come up and take some time to come up with a plan. They can just immediately respond. And so that's very crucial. Another crucial piece of it is being able to incorporate rescue teams into the response, whether that be fire personnel or EMS. The quicker that we can get medical services to people that have been injured in these situations, the better chance that they're going to have to survive. So in this area, we particularly train together, so we're all using the same tactics. We've started to incorporate EMS and fire into our training, so we're all on the same page. And then lastly, I think there's maybe some areas that are still using a SWAT type response, where when officers get on scene, they might show up, contain the issue, and then call SWAT to come there and take care of the problem. And we know that doesn't work, especially in this area, because we have a part-time SWAT team. It takes a long time to activate those members, have them go out to the SWAT building, gather the equipment, and then drive back to the scene. And in my 17 years of being with Red River Valley SWAT, the quickest response that I'm aware of when SWAT responded to a scene was 43 minutes, and a lot of people can be injured or killed in that time. So when officers get there, they really just need to immediately respond and engage and try to seek out that active threat, whatever it is, and try to neutralize that threat.
So even if there's just one deputy at the school, they can take action without waiting for backup?
Yeah, so when we first started training active shooter, we would wait until we had 4 officers before we would go in, and that was based on how the tactic was set up. And so over time, we've looked at that, and we said that takes too long to get 4 officers in a particular area, get them linked up so that they can respond. So we reduced that down to 2 officers to speed up that response time. And most recently, we've now trickled down tactics for a 1-person response, so that if that officer gets on scene, the situation is what we would term as dynamic, rapidly evolving, people are actively getting engaged. That officer could go in by themselves, and they would have the tactics to work through situations that they might encounter with that active shooter.
It sounds like the goal here then is to have a bias of action rather than having 10 people out in the hallway waiting for Central Command to give orders, yes?
Exactly, and I mean in a school, in a large business, in a fairly large school, the other piece to that is that one officer needs to cover a lot of area to maybe seek out that that active assailant, that active shooter. And so if we can send one officer in one area of the school and send another officer in another area, we can cover more ground and hopefully try to locate that person quicker.
Yeah, perfect. So, anything else you want to throw in on this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would just like to add that, the Cass County Sheriff's Office, West Fargo PD, and Essentia have all been working collaboratively on this. So it's a collaborative effort amongst all of our agencies. And really the goal is, again, to protect lives, give people the tools to work through a situation like this. And in doing that, it's going to make law enforcement's response that much more efficient and quicker, because if people are responding and using a skill set inside the structure, that's going to help us with our response, and hopefully we can end that situation quicker. And then on top of that, our office has been working really hard to seek out more training for our rural schools, for our rural EMS and fire. And so we've secured a grant recently in the amount of $6,600 to pay overtime for our staff to do some training scenarios with our rural communities. And so we're really looking forward to partnering with our rural schools, our rural EMS and fire to do some of these scenarios and hopefully be able to respond quicker in the future and protect people.
Jahner says the Cass County Sheriff's Office has also done business training with more than 40 local companies and more than 1,200 citizens to prepare them for the event of an active shooter. If you're interested in finding out more about that, you can go online to casscountynd.gov. Well, that'll do it for this Tuesday night. Remember, it's not a Monday, even though it sure feels like it. I'm Steve Hallstrom, and thanks for watching the Nightly Review. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.